So we're going to begin looking at the difference between factors and multiples, and we'll start out by discussing factors. Now, factors are numbers that you can multiply together to get another number. So often you'll see this in a question where it's phrased like, list all the factors of 48, or what are some factors of 48? And so here you're just trying to figure out like something times something equals 48. And these somethings here are going to be your factors. And this is a useful skill as you develop as a mathematician and use it with fractions, you use it when you're solving equations. It can be very, very handy. So we're going to look at a couple different strategies for figuring out all of the factors of a number. And so the first one, and we're going to go through these in order of most efficient and organized to least, least organized into the most. So guessing and checking is just what it sounds like. It's when your target number is 48, you're trying to find all those factors, and you think to yourself, well, I mean, I know 2 times 24 is 48. And so I'm wondering, I mean, maybe 3 times something is going to equal 48. But I can't quite think of what that might be. So I know it's going to have to be less than 24, but I know 3 times 20 is equal to 60. That's too much. 3 times 15 is going to be equal to, let's see, 3 times 10 is 30. 3 times 5 is 15. So that's 45. So we know that it's going to have to be a little bit bigger. And I notice this is only 3 away. And so that's going to be 1 more 3. So that would be 3 times 16. Now, this isn't too big of a deal when your number is as small as 48, but let's say you're trying to figure out all the factors of 128. It's going to be much more difficult because there's a lot of options, lots of factors of 128. So we need to have a more efficient and a more thorough strategy. And so one way that you could do that is start off by just listing all the facts that you know, all the combinations of multiplication numbers that you could use to equal 48. So I know already that, let's see, 4 times 12 is 48 because I know my 12 facts. I also know that 8 times 6 is 48. And up here we came up with these other two as well, but I don't know if I have all of them. And so just listing facts in whatever order they pop into my head is better than just guessing and checking, but we do have a more efficient strategy that can guarantee that we really do list all the factors. And so that would be creating an organized list. And with this organized list, you'd want to start out with 1 because it's a good place to start, and it's the easiest math fact. We know 1 times 48 is going to equal 48. And so our factors are 1 and 48. Great. So let's just keep going and counting by ones. So we know 2 times 24. We already figured that out earlier. 3 times 16 is 48. 4 times 12 is 48. Again, these are all ones that we came up with earlier. Now, if we think about 5 times something, 48, because I know that 5s, when I do any of my multiplications with 5, they always end in a 5 or a 0. So you have like 5, 10, 15, and so my ones place is always going to be a 0. And because it's an 8 here, I know this one is not going to be a factor. 5 is not a factor of 48. So I'm going to leave that off the list. So since I'm skipping 5, I'll move on to 6. 6 times 8 is 48. And so now we're up to 7. And I know 7 times 7 is 49. And so because that's only 1 away, there's no possible way that 7 is going to be a factor of 48. So I can skip that one too. And that leads me to 8, which is 8 times 6 equals 48. Now, if you notice here, I've started repeating my factors, 6 and 8. There's nothing different about this factor pair or this factor pair. They're the same numbers. And so I know that because I'm repeating, I'm already found all of my factors. So here are all of the factors in our organized list, and you might also sometimes see these written out, listed in order from least to greatest. And so as you can tell, I'm just basically going down the list here, 6, and then I'm going to go back up. Oop, I missed 8 there. 12, 16, 24, and 48. So there are all of the factors of 48.